Well, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie issuing a statement late last evening on the tragic passing of Reverend Dr. Myles Munroe, his wife Ruth, Pastor Richard Pinder, and the other persons who perished in that crash. The nation's leader expressing shock and deep sadness. Natalie Martinborough has that story.
The nation's leader says it is utterly impossible to measure the magnitude of Dr. Myles Munroe's loss to the Bahamas and to the world, as he was indisputably one of the most globally recognizable religious figures our country has ever produced. He says Dr. Myles Munroe's fame as an ambassador of the Christian ministry preceded him wherever in the world he traveled, whether in the Caribbean, North America, Asia, Europe, or Africa. The Prime Minister says Dr. Munroe was a towering force who earned the respect and admiration not only of the Christian community, but of secular leaders both here at home and around the world. The Prime Minister says Dr. Munroe was a man of immense charisma and persuasive appeal. Whether one agreed with him or not, there was never any question that Dr. Myles Munroe was a man of deeply held principles who never hesitated to speak truth to power. He says the senior pastor of BFM was regarded by a great many persons as the conscience of the nation. He states that Munroe was among the most defining and influential spiritual leaders of the modern Bahamas and of the wider world of Christian evangelism as well. The nation's leader says while he disagreed on some matters with Dr. Myles Munroe over the years, he regarded Dr. Myles Munroe as a personal friend and spiritual mentor. Prime Minister Christie says he leaned on Dr. Munroe's counsel in a number of important matters, including the most recent consultation with religious leaders on the pending constitutional bills, a process in which Dr. Munroe took an enthusiastic and constructive part, helping even to redraft one of the bills that had been met with a great deal of public controversy. The Prime Minister notes that Reverend Dr. Myles Munroe was a great Bahamian of universal renown who leaves the Bahamas and the world a better place because of the power and passion of his preaching and the excellence of his example. The Prime Minister says Reverend Dr. Myles Munroe will be greatly missed here at home and abroad. Natalie Martinborough, ZNS Network News.
Former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Ingraham, also issuing a statement on the passing of Reverend Dr. Myles Munroe. Ingraham joins countless Bahamians and citizens of the world in mourning the tragic death of Dr. Myles Munroe, his wife Ruth, and the members of his Bahamas Faith Ministries team on their ill-fated flight to Freeport yesterday. Ingraham says Dr. Munroe was an inspiration to thousands of Bahamians and to countless followers and admirers of his teachings around the world. The former Prime Minister says he last spoke with Dr. Munroe and his wife in an airport lounge in Tanzania. The statement reads, "He encouraged me to see more of Tanzania, of whose beauty he says was effusive. He was happy and enthusiastic heading to Gabon with his wife on what was a 3-nation tour in Africa." Ingraham said Munroe told him that he would be home in early November. The former Prime Minister is extending deepest sympathy to Munroe's children, his father, his siblings, his extended family, and especially Munroe's sister Verdell, who in the early 1990s worked in his law office. The former Prime Minister says he and his wife Dolores will keep all of her family in prayer and pray that God will grant them the strength to deal with this terrible loss at this time. The tragic death of President of BFM Ministries still sending waves throughout the Bahamas and the world. We spoke to some residents of Grand Bahama who are reflecting on the legacy of Dr. Myles Munroe.
Dr. Myles Munroe has truly been an inspiration. He is, an ambassador to the Bahamas, and he's a man of all seasons. And I describe him as one that has contributed not just locally but internationally. He's well informed, and he will be a great miss to the Bahamas, particularly to the world.
It was really sad, I'm a man of that caliber, what he's all about. But it really saddened my heart to know that happened like that. So all we could do is just pray.
The entire country, if not the world, is mourning today, but not as people without hope. We mourn rejoicingly Dr. Munroe died doing what he was commissioned to do, and that is to preach the wonderful gospel. He was preparing for his annual conference here in Grand Bahama. He's impacted millions of people around the world. I remember going to Europe, and some of the servers in the restaurant found out that my wife and I were from the Bahamas, and they said, "Myles Munroe country?" And I said, "Yes, Myles Munroe country." He's done a tremendous job.
Well, his messages were very powerful to the Bahamian people as well as the world, because I actually saw other artists and pastors as well tweeted, wrote on Facebook how saddened they were by the situation and that they were so sorry for our loss.
He led a life of purpose, and his job on earth was magnificent in the sense that he touched so many lives, and we should be appreciative of the fact that he is a Bahamian who has touched so many lives around the world. So many people around the world are giving their condolences and are sharing their thoughts and feelings on his the ministry that he led. And so, I just want to say a word to young people, to live your life of purpose. Become leaders and not followers.
Stay with us as we continue to reflect on the legacy of Dr. Myles Munroe. We'll be right back.